Hello everyone, today I'm going to be recording a little instance guide for Sagroth, the Lair of Vermin, which was released today with U35, and it's the new 6-man in this instance cluster. What you'll be seeing behind my explanation is footage of Tier 3 of the instance, and you'll be seeing my perspective, which was on Guardian Tank for this run. We'll get started here with what sort of comp you'd like to bring to this instance, and that's actually really wide open here, which is really great. It's really nice to see not a super dominant setup for this instance. My favorite tank for all the ones that I've tried so far has been Guardian, for reasons that I'll get into in a second. You can bring pretty much any healer, you can bring any support, Lawmaster or Berg, both would be good. I don't think you really need either Lawmaster or Berg for Tier 3, but for Tier 4 and 5, they'll definitely be helpful. And then the DPS comp, again, is really wide open. You'd like some decent AoE, but single target is also really good. So pretty much any class that's good at the moment is going to be good in this instance. The things you want to look out for when choosing your comp is going to be having good access to AoE stuns and having good access to corruption removal. Rapid single corruption removal, not necessarily AoE corruption removal. And so classes like Guardian, like Champion, and others like those are going to be really good. We've got a Red Runekeeper in this run as well, which worked out really well. Red Captains are also really great. They bring some good DPS, and it's really nice to have some burst in the comp as well, especially for Boss 2. So we'll get into that as we see the run unfold. As we've started this run here, you'll see we've killed the first pool of trash. I recommend double pulling those into that pavilion that we fought them in, just for line of sight. Group them all up, burn them down quickly. Nothing too dangerous about that one. The next pool, though, as you see, is a bit more dangerous. We've got the sickle flies here. These ones are quite nasty. You want to interrupt their yellow bar induction, and also they emanate a nasty dot on the group, which can do upwards of 200k per tick. So it's good to burn them down, keep them stunned so they never apply that. That's really helpful. The other one that you want to watch out for is the slugs. They'll put a corruption on themselves that reduces their incoming damage by 70%, and they'll keep stacking that up, so worth removing that one, obviously. They also do a grey bar induction, which you can stun to interrupt or anything similar, and that will knock the party back and do a decent amount of damage, so careful of that. Next, we have these little rats here, which are quite dangerous, and we'll see lots of these throughout the dungeon. These rats do a yellow bar induction, which is not very long, so you have to watch out for it, interrupt it nice and quick. We got all of them there, which is really nice, but if we'd missed one, there would have been a puddle that dropped, which does about 35% morale damage, which is pretty serious. This next pool, again, fairly simple. These sorcerers seem to do pretty much nothing. They'll heal the mobs, they'll put a damage buff on them, but nothing too worrisome. Just keep them grouped up and burn them down. The fire puddle that you see there is also pretty ineffective and will do hardly anything to you. It's about 20,000 per tick every 3 seconds on the tooltip. So even less once you take into account tactical mitigation. You can see it's not even touching me here. And yeah, they don't even stack up, so really not worth considering. But here we are at boss 1. And this is something that I actually really like about this instance. It's quite quick. There's not much trash in between the bosses, and there's just 2 bosses, and both boss fights are actually really quick. It only took us about 15 minutes to complete this whole run, which is really awesome. Great for farming. You get 3 logs per week. So I'd recommend running this a lot. If you can get a good group together, you can get this down really quickly. Just cycle through some characters, get yourself some essences, get yourself some teal gear, and hopefully some offhands to get yourself ready for the raid. This guy does a bit of talking, but as he starts, you can see he's got some ads that he starts with. I wouldn't recommend focusing on them like we do in this run. Just focus on the boss. These ads are pretty weak. You can AoE them down as the boss dies. And as the boss gets to lower percentages, he's going to spawn 2 more ad waves in total. This first one is pretty insignificant. I wouldn't recommend spending any effort like we do here. Just burn the boss down. As the boss gets a bit lower here, the next ad wave is going to be sickle flies and slugs, and unfortunately our healer does go down to these guys, which is quite annoying, but as you'll see, it's not too much of an issue for us. Just have your AoE stuns ready to interrupt those guys as soon as they spawn. There's 2 sorcerers up in the back there, but really not worth worrying about. Just AoE the ads down again, keep burning the boss. There's no real reason to focus on any of them. Once the sickle flies are dead, you can pull the boss and the slugs over to here, to this back gate, which is where the next wave will spawn. As the tank, you can get the corruptions off the slugs to make sure they're going down, but really just keep using your AoE stuns, cycle through them, have one person use them at a time, don't interrupt them, don't overlap them, I should say, sorry. The next ad wave spawned here, we get a Fetid Darkwater, which is the only time we'll see that in the whole instance, and some other Angmarim sorcerers coming in. Again, really inconsequential. The Darkwater puts a slow on everyone, which is somewhat annoying, but again, just burn the boss down. All the ads despawn when the boss dies, so really this is a bit of a burn, nothing much to it. You can kill the boss with relative ease. So you can see there he's running away, and you can collect the chest once the combat ends. I believe in this boss there is a good chance for getting a teal essence, 474 item level, and you can also get some teal boots from this chest. Alright, getting into the trash leading to the second boss now. This first pool is slightly dangerous again, just make sure you've got your AoE stuns ready. We've got a slug and sickle flies coming in from the side, as well as these rats. Yeah, just have your AoE stuns ready to go, keep them all interrupted. All the trash leading up to the second boss is fairly similar, lots of these slugs, lots of these sickle flies, lots of these rats. I won't bore you with the entire pool, I'll just speed up the footage so you can see it happen in fast motion, but that's basically how it goes. Pull slowly. I wouldn't recommend pulling too much at once here because there is a lot of those interrupts to get, and if you let those puddles get around, then your other players behind you are not going to have an easy time catching up. Alright, and we make our way into the second boss room now, which, spoiler alert, is not against a large drake, but is instead against a rat. Now, there's a couple of things to this fight that will hopefully make it a lot easier for you. It can be quite a difficult fight if you haven't seen it before. It can be very hectic, might be difficult to see what's going on, so hopefully these tips will help you clear the boss fairly easily. The first thing I'd suggest is tanking him in the bottom right quadrant, one quadrant to right from where I'm taking him now. I'm moving over there now. That's because the ads are going to spawn in the middle, so keep them close to the middle. And also, the room is going to fill up with disease, and in our experience, it pretty much never went in the bottom right. So just stay there. My next suggestion would be to have everyone stand in melee range. The boss is going to put an eye out in the farthest player from the boss. We have someone baiting that. That's our lore master in this run. But it has been told to me that you can have the eye completely be avoided as a mechanic if everyone's in melee range. So that'd be my recommendation. Have everyone stand in melee range. Now, as the boss starts, there's nothing much to him. He will have an induction that you want to interrupt called Tail Whip. Does a big knockback on everyone, decent amount of damage. He's also going to run out to people every so often to give them a wound. If everyone's standing on the boss, obviously that'll be very quick. If you do have that wound, run out and plant the puddle that you plant by cleansing it away from the group, which you can see our lore master is doing right now. You don't have to run that far, but just run a bit far away. Now, when the boss gets to 85% health, he will put 40 layers of corruption on himself, which will reduce the incoming damage to the boss significantly. Now, that is obviously very bad, and you want to remove those as quickly as possible, which is why I recommended bringing fast single target corruption removal. So focus on doing that. He's also going to spawn ads, these ferocious vermin and robust vermin. They really need to be interrupted, so watch out for them. And every so often as well, you'll see little waves of tiny vermin spawn, which really need to be stunned, and AoE stun's the best way to do that. Otherwise, you'll get puddles everywhere. So don't let those inductions go off, and otherwise, once the corruptions are done, the boss can just be burned down, ads will despawn, and you can finish up the fight. Now, there is a stacking disease that the boss puts on everyone, which will do a decent amount of damage every so often. We found it was pretty easy to just ignore that on tier 3, but there are those cleansing totems around the place that you can use to clear that. As I understand it, it's best to go around the room in the direction that the disease goes in if you are going to use those to clear yourself, so if your DPS is a bit lower. But overall, the fight is not too difficult once you understand it, once you get coordinated enough to never let an induction go off, and just get those corruptions down nice and quick, and you can burn the boss. That'd be a great time to bring a captain. You can save Oathies until the corruptions are off, and then just burn the boss down really quick. And that's it. From this chest, you can earn a teal chest piece, a teal offhand. You can also earn teal class items, which are a big upgrade from most of the crafted ones. You can also earn teal essences, and you actually have a chance to get 481 essences from here, which is very nice. And finally, you get a chance to get your portents, which is very good if you missed out on the Ill Omens event a month ago. That's all I've got for you. If you have any questions or perhaps a suggestion on how to make these better, please leave them in the comments down below or message me on Discord. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching.